it's Adrienne, and today I'm here to bring you another spoiler-free speed review. I actually have fallen in love with these speed reviews because they make reviewing books more fun than they already are. Anyway, today's review is for Wildcat by JP Harker. I was sent this book for review by the author. This is the first book in the Caledon saga. I have to say, when I receive a book for review from any author, I read books that I get sent very critically. I go looking for problems, and spoiler alert guys, I didn't really find that many problems in this book and I really loved it. Wildcat is a book that's heavily inspired by both Iron Age Wales and Imperial Rome, and it follows a girl named Rhea. Rhea comes from the Caledon tribe where everyone is treated equally. Women are expected to carry the same responsibilities as men as far as warfare goes until they become a mother. Rhea is loving the fact that she is now of age where she can become a warrior. As we follow Rhea through her day-to-day life, she gets married and she soon finds out that she's expecting a child, so she's ready to put her warrior days behind her until we find out that the ever-expanding Aegean Empire is planning an attack on the local tribespeople. So they're in for one last battle that demolishes everyone, including her husband and her unborn child. Without giving away too much more information, because this book does get spoilery pretty quickly, she ends up on this path that could eventually affect her people and the one she loves in the future, and so we follow Rhea through all of that saga. Let's start off by talking about the plot. I will say this is a very long book. It is also a slow burning book. It follows more day-to-day life. It's not a heavily action-packed book. The last 150 pages or so definitely were. They definitely flew. And along the same lines, like I mentioned earlier, this book is definitely inspired by Iron Age Wales and Imperial Rome, so it reads like historical fiction, which I absolutely loved because I love historical fiction books. Again, for the most part, even though this was a slow burning book, I did find it to be a page turner because you're so immersed in these characters' lives, you want to know what's going to happen next. So I didn't mind. And then we move on to the writing. For the writing, for the most part, I have the same comments as I had for the plot. I found that it was done quite well for such being a lengthy book. I didn't find it to be long and drawn out. I feel like he did a good job explaining the environments that we were in, explaining the lives of the characters, and keeping us interested. There were a couple places here that did get repetitive, especially in one or two particular chapters where our main character is going through some serious struggles and she's going through some emotional debate in her head. I found them to be a little bit repetitive. And lastly, we move to the characters, which are by far my favorite. Obviously, like I've said, this is a character-driven story, and if our characters weren't likable, even the villains, if I didn't love to hate the villains of the story, it wouldn't have done well. And these characters were fantastic, but I will warn you, don't get attached to any of them because they just drop like flies. I really love our main character, Rhea, because she goes through a lot of hardships and she does them in sort of a realistic way. She doesn't get too boggled down by it. We don't get overwhelmed and beaten over the head with her grief. She also doesn't come out of it too quickly that you think that's unrealistic. This book was a very realistic book. I think if there's one comment that I have, overall comment, is that it was immersive and realistic, and I really enjoyed it. Overall, I gave this book a 4.75 stars. I loved it so much that I've actually requested the second and the third book to the series because I can't get enough of it. So that wraps up my spoiler-free speed review for Wildcat by JP Harker. Thank you to the author for sending me the book. I cannot wait to read the other ones. If you guys are looking for an indie author to support, I will leave a link to where you can buy his books. If you like fantasy and or historical fiction, you really should give these books a try. They are worth it. If you enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up. If you have not yet, I would love for you to subscribe. Thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye!